Oh, boys and girls, we are starting off our weekend on a fine Saturday afternoon, and look who we have today. It's Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Rob the Giant. Thank you for coming to the show, my friend.
No, thanks for having me. Actually, been watching some of your videos, so I was excited to come on and pop up on here.
Oh man, I that's what we like to hear. I've always said I hope that just my dad and my dog watch these things because you never know if you're reaching the people out there and such. So I appreciate you watching the product. I really do. Thank you.
Well, no, you did an interview with Short Sleeve, so I had to make sure I had to make sure the boss isn't saying too much bad things about me.
Now, you bring that up, and Mr. Short Sleeves never met the guy, didn't know anything about him, never seen him but one time live, and we had a fantastic hour. Holy cow. We got so much out of Mr. Short Sleeves. And not only that, we had a lot of laughs, got to look behind his career a bit. We did talk about Rob the Giant coming on the show. And what a great interview. He was very nice to one Rob the Giant. Got to give him that.
No, he's really good. There's a reason I've been around him for 12 years. So, the guy knows what he's doing.
Well, let's just start off right there because I think that's a fine area, a fine topic to start with. Mr. Short Sleeves is, and I've said it to him, I don't know if you know this or not, my friend, but the respect around you in your circle with your peers and you as a promoter and such, and what you do in the craft over the course of your career, I hope you do realize that you have many people that look up to you and respect you and want your knowledge and all of that. And you are one of them, and you've been under the tutelage, have you not, of one of Mr. Sampson?
Yes. I was trained by Brutal Bob Evans. Yep. So when he had his school, I was under Bob Evans and all of them. And then it was later on, because of Bob and a couple other trainers, they connected me with Mr. Sampson. So with that, me and Short Sleeve, our career paths were to get intertwined at that point. So a lot of his stuff has always been road and show tutelage that he's taught me. So,
man, I did not expect Bob Evans as your trainer because I've seen you at the XWA quite often. That's where I was seeing Rob the Giant. You were called just a little something different. You were we're going to get into that. You were called Robbie the Giant. So now that you're called Rob the Giant, it threw me as a fan off just a smidge.
Well, I got a little bit older, so we got a more adult the Rob name.
Hey, I used to be called Little Donnie in my family. Nobody calls me Little Donnie no more, okay? But Bob Evans, you were trained. They love to call him Uncle Bob, if you will. Bob Evans, what a fine mind in the business. Mm-hmm. And I know I mentioned XWA. I actually thought you were a student of the XWA Center. So you saying that you were trained under Bob Evans is actually a surprise to me. Why don't we dive into that a little bit?
Sure. Well, actually, in a way, I'm kind of a spinoff of the XWA school because Mike Bennett is one of the teachers there. When Mike Bennett was more local and had more free time, obviously, he was helping Matt Taven train. Mike Bennett came from Bob Evans' tutelage also. So in a way, it's almost like a branch off of.
Got you. It's just like what Slick Wagner Brown is doing right now. The Kowalski guys, the Kowalski way, because him and Jay Freddy are tag team champions in Test of Strength, and their name is the Kowalski guys. So they keep that lineage going, if you will. So that's really cool, fun fact. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Now, XWA Center, tons of fun. Holy cow. And something I've been wanting to talk to you about from the very first moment that we spoke of, obviously about Mr. Simpson and your relationship with that. And again, I just jostle all over the place. Just please follow me.
No, it's all good.
Because I write jack shit down. Ooh, I mean, I write nothing down. I'm sorry. I don't write nothing down, and I just kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah.
XWA Center, that's where I first started seeing you perform and doing your thing. And I've been wanting to dive into you and now American Sumo Mike Gamble. You guys used to be a tag team, and my goodness, the fun that you brought to the table. Could you please talk to us about that cool little thing you had going on with Mike Gamble? Because that was a lot of fun.
That was a spur of the moment actually type thing. So what had happened was, this is around the time when Mikey was first starting to get on the shows. So he wasn't on every XWA show. So they put me, I was wrestling Nick Delta that night, I believe. And yep. Yep, love that kid. So it was me against Delta, and this is when he was with Buff Inc. So he had like 3 managers, I know. He had a bunch of studs with him in his corner. And I remember Mikey didn't have anything on that night. So he was watching, and what he does is he studies. And I looked at him like, well, I'm outnumbered. Why don't you come watch my back? So we brought him out, but I did a swerve, and I introduced him as my little brother. And because it got such a great reaction at XWA, we stuck as the Gamble brothers, where I was big brother Robbie Gamble, and he was little brother Mike Gamble. So I adopted the Gamble name for a while as an XWA, and it gave me and him both something to do, and it gave us a lot. It had a lot of fun. I loved it every week, going teaming up with Mikey, and I'm super, super proud of him, of how he is as Mike Sumo, because I was there when he'd always talk about how he wanted to branch off and do different characters and progress his career. So the fact that I would hear about the sumo idea and how much he's gone with it makes me happy.
Everything you said there, I felt was spot on, because when you guys came out, and I just started going there when you guys were just starting to come out. So I was only there for maybe a couple weeks or a month or two, and I was going there. I live in Plymouth, Connecticut, so I was taking this drive every single Thursday after work, and sometimes Saturdays at their bigger shows. And I was bringing my dad with me, and we just had a blast up there. But when I started going there, it wasn't too long when you guys started doing your thing together, and my goodness, what a blast! Because like you said, you switched the tables there. You were big brother, he was little brother, and me and my dad, and not just me and my dad, but obviously the XWA fan base, we just had an absolute blast with that. The little things you did, and I've always said this on the show, my friend, wrestling fans are so easy. It only takes these little tiny nuances to really trigger us and invest us to what you're doing. And I applaud you on doing that.
Thank you.
So much fun. Not only, being your characters of Big Brother and Little Brother, but when you're in the ring, you're trying to think of creative things to do with what you have to do in the match. So when you're going through, okay, we want to try some fun stuff. What do we come up with? Because you're a really big dude and I'm a really little dude. So how can we make this work for us? How did you guys come up with the move set as a tag team, if you will?
A lot of it was just stuff that I had done from years past that I picked up and I kind of inserted. Because Mikey was still fairly new, so he was still coming up with different ideas. Sometimes we'd collaborate together. He would have this whole idea. He would lay out what he had in mind, and then me and him would co-op and kind of plot things together. We always did, where he would throw the guy, he would slam one guy, and somehow he would throw another guy and another guy on top of him, and then he'd pick me up over his head and almost gorilla press me on top of the guy. I mean, I pictured it. I pictured it as growing up, like as a kid. How would I be if I had, like, when I played with my little cousins, or how was it when I was that little, wanting to be a wrestler? Like, what were people doing to me, and incorporate that with having a brother, almost.
Just an enormous amount, almost criminal amounts of fun, my friend.
Yep.
I mean, for real. You guys were so much fun. You brought energy, you brought entertainment, you brought in ring. And hey, I'm sold. I'm totally sold, because that's all. I've said it. Storyline, character, and good in ring. Give me those three things specifically, and I'm yours forever. So I've kind of followed on what you were doing. So you ended up branching off from the XWA. And before we take off from that, you mentioned Buff Inc. And such. The characters at XWA Center are off the charts. Because they bring so much personality along with that end ring, and the setup, and the announcing, and the ring announcer Bob Whitney and such, and they bring in Palladino for the big shows, and XWA Center. Always applauded that place. Love XWA and the men and women there.
Yeah, no, it's a good place. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
Now, you kind of branched off from there, and I didn't see you there for a bit, even like in their regular story stuff. Where did you go from there?
Well, there was some stuff in my life that changed, where I wasn't able to make Thursdays, personally. Nothing bad. I couldn't get there, and it was a hassle, so I stopped going when I could, and I tried to get there when I could. But I was focusing on a lot of touring, as well, because we had with Short Sleeve Midget Wrestling Warriors, we had a lot of tours picking up around that time. So obviously my body kind of trying to savor every little ounce of strength that I have. But it was just more of a scheduling conflict. Nothing, no hard feelings. I miss it all the time, and I know they have different people that go in and out of there, so it's also great to see how great it's going. And obviously, it's great. It's people love wrestling in that area. So, and XWA, it's always a great show, from their big shows, small shows. Like, you never know. Mike has so many surprises every time.
Absolutely, every word you said there, because we were there one time for one of their rumbles. You like surprise entrance for the rumble and stuff, and out comes Gangrel. The crowd lost their absolute bleeping minds. Great times up there. Good minds, creativity. A lot of creativity going on up there.
So you weren't there when I did the rumble as JBL, were you? A couple years and years ago.
No, I apologize.
Oh man, no, it's all good. It's okay. No.
So you came out JBL. Did you do the hat and the whole thing?
Yep, because I just did Extreme Rules as the WBL WLC thing. So obviously with Mike, with his surprises, he had, I believe Carlito was the first one, so everyone got excited. He had a couple other big surprises, and then JBL's music hits, and everyone's excited, and then it's me, and they're like, oh. So it was good. It was fun. Like I said, XWA, you have so many surprises.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so much fun. I love the creativity over there. Oh goodness. Now, I've spoken to Mr. Shortsleeves about him having all midget promotions, because if we go through the history of wrestling, it used to be a novelty thing, or just a showcase, if you will, of one match. And it came up, and then it kind of faded away. And then out of nowhere, to be honest with you, as a fan, I'm like, wait, there's full midget promotions?
Yep.
And you were like right in the mix. Am I correct at saying pretty much at the startings of what's been happening here?
Well, like there was a lot of companies that started up, and I followed Short Sleeve to a couple of them. But Midget Wrestling Warriors, I've been there since day one. I was there before the groundwork was ever laid. When he was proposed with the idea of a company, I was one of the first guys that he called to say, hey, I want you as part of this team before we start. But before that, I would see him with at a lot of these midget wrestling shows. So I saw what was right, what was wrong, and from my perspective, I saw what he would do or what he would want to do. So when he said, "Hey, I'm the boss now," I knew this is the place I want to go and work for.
Now, there's something that I did not speak to him about that I kind of want to bring to your attention. Hulk Hogan had this micro championship wrestling thing going on.
Yep.
Does it even still exist?
I believe they're off right now. They had their owner, the guy that ran it, the ring announcer, Johnny G. He passed away a couple years ago. So I think they were more. It's more of trying to see who's going to take the reins, and I don't want to speak on too much behalf of that, but I know like they lost Johnny. Johnny was a great guy. When I worked for them for a little bit, so it really sucks to hear about his passing. But I think because of that, they're kind of in limbo at the moment, and that's why you haven't seen too much of it.
Were you part of that thing, because it was very publicly seen because he was putting it out on TV? Were you part of that whole thing?
I was after, so they already had their first season on TV, and they were kind of in the middle of trying to get a second season, and they went to Canada. They had a tour, and one of the guys that they had didn't have a passport, so Short Sleeve knew a guy. So I did a couple of their international ones and a couple in the States for a while for them, actually.
Oh, wow. Nice. Now, you mentioned earlier the the WC match, if you will.
Yep.
Now, we spoke kind of extensively with Mr. Sampson about that. He kind of told us on how it became, and how he got the talent there and such. So you were part of the crew that he sent over to the WWE, if you will.
Yes.
We don't want to use the other three letters. We don't want Uncle Vince to monetize us. So you are part of that. Could you please explain to us, the fans, because that's why we like to have the talent on here, to maybe pull the curtain back a little bit, and not all the way back. We don't have to go, pull it all the way back. But we would never be in those experiences of being an independent wrestler, and then being able to transition, or at least have that experience to go to WWE. Could you talk to us maybe about that? Because you're on the independent scene for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Short Sleeves is like, hey, I got some work for you over at the Dub, and you're like, yes, please.
Yeah. Well, originally he was supposed to be retiring when he got that call. So I remember I messaged him telling him congratulations, because he was going to be there on Sunday, and he told me, hey, they need, I think he needed like 4 other guys to go, and he asked me right away like if I wanted to go, and of course I'm not gonna say no to that opportunity. So it was very surreal. I had to dress all nice. We showed up very early that day. Kind of uncharted territories, because like I said, like coming right from the independent, so it's not our place of work. It's not where we're there every day, so it's very different, very much a new jungle, if you will. But it was surreal to finally. I refer to it because people always tell people like use the term mark and stuff. I use the term of more of like a major, like being in a bit, like being for the Red Sox. Like I'm a high school college baseball player that gets to the minor leagues, and then they get a call to go for one day in the major leagues at Fenway Park. That's how I always refer to when I had my 3 WWE stints. Is I just felt like I was in the major leagues, being a minor leaguer. Like no one would make fun of that, It's different, but it's something that you want to be there for.
Did you find that behind the scenes, the boys and girls were acceptable to, because you're walking into their world now, and obviously you're not trying to make it novelty. You're there to do a job. You want to perform, you want to entertain, and you want to look good in the ring. Mm-hmm. Are you finding the respect in the back?
Yeah, there was a lot of respect because everyone there, it's one big show in the end. It's one big show. Everyone has a part. So I think no one's there thinking, oh, they're going to take my spot. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to add a piece to tonight's event, or a different different flavor of ice cream today, and tomorrow we're gonna, I think everyone was just more supportive of and welcoming. Obviously, wipe your feet before you go in. Don't come in with dirty shoes, which we did. Showed respect all day, and the respect was shown back. And everyone was positive. There was nothing negative at all about the whole experience. Just it was surreal. It was a great time, and
that is so fantastic to hear, and the smile says it all, my friend. I mean,
yeah,
for real, because you start thinking about, as you're talking, I'm sure you're seeing pictures in your mind of this time, and you're like, man, that was some cool stuff.
Well, the coolest part, and I've told some people this, is when you go, because they paired us off. So short sleeve was Jerry Lawler. So when they do the introductions, Jerry Lawler's music hits. Short sleeve goes out with the King, and then when JBL's music hits, me and JBL walk out together to do the to do.
I apologize.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, so JBL's music hits, and I'm walking out with him, with the JBL doing his entrance in front of the whole crowd. That to me was like the surrealest moment I'll ever get, is getting a crowd reaction next to a legend.
Thank you for sharing these stories. That's exactly why we love having the talent on here. We wouldn't know this stuff by hanging out and buying your merch. You know what I'm saying? It's a different conversation. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, you said you had 3 stints over there.
Yep.
You were JBL. You were Mini
Yep.
L, if you will. I don't know. Is that what they called you? What was your name there?
It was JBL, and then it was WeBL. I think my name changed throughout the day. So I'm still confused which one it was, but I believe it was JBL was the official one. A few years prior, I did the mini DX court / the mini army they did with Hornswoggle. And then a couple years ago, I was brought over with Hornswoggle because they were going to have a midget match for the Saudi Arabia show. Unfortunately, that got canceled, that part. But I still got to go and see a whole different world, but that was an experience in itself.
Okay. Everybody calm down. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Rob the Giant gets the call to go to Saudi Arabia to do a crown jewel pay-per-view. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the very first time that they went over there.
So you get the invite, you make the travel arrangements, you get over to the desert over there, and your match is canceled?
Yep, I didn't make the team. It was a time restraints and just a whole bunch of different things that go throughout the day. I mean, it's a business. I totally, and it's television. It's television. It's television, so I mean, kept my head up, kept a smile, and I just enjoyed the experience and opportunity that was there. But I was there, and that's like, and no one can ever take that away.
Dude, like, no, what? That's absolutely amazing. That is such a cool story, man. I was at Crown Jewel. Why were you? No, I don't think so.
Well, it's funny is because not a lot of people knew I was there, except for like friends, coworkers. And there's like there's a little video of me throughout the day because I'm like, this stadium is huge, so I'm wandering the whole thing, and there's a clip somehow someone recorded. It was Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Cesaro, and somebody else. They were playing soccer in the middle of the stadium, and because I was walking through, I walked past them, and someone had that in the video. So a lot of people were like, "Wait a minute, is that Robbie? That guy looks like Robbie." And people tagging me like, "Hey, this guy looks like you." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." I'm on the other side of the world, guys.
That is so cool, man. Obviously, the cultures are very not the same.
No, it's very different.
Walking into that as you're coming from the United States.
Yep.
Were the rules that they gave you as long as the list of Chris Jericho would bring in on Monday Night Raw, I mean that must have been a crazy list.
No, I would say the new Chris Jericho, like the list, not the 1001, not the Chris Jericho 1001 holds list, but I'll say the new list. Yep.
Yes. Oh man, the guidelines must have been crazy. I mean, for real.
It was. I mean, I've gone to Canada, and I have like this much of guidelines. I go there, and I'm still reading a book.
Now, and I know we're gonna just stay on this topic just a little bit, because when you're in the dub, it's a whole new different world. Like you said, it's a big jungle, and I'm just this tiny little fragment of a piece that's kind of walking into this world, trying to figure it all out as I'm coming in. Yeah, I got experience. I've got years experience, but this is just not the same.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Are they telling you, there's specific guidelines to go by when you're speaking, or if you were to do a match or what have you? Were there specific guidelines to that before getting into said match?
So when we did, there was, as far as the WLC, we had more guidelines, not more of anything really set to say. They gave us a couple things to maybe talk about throughout the match, or something to bring up. But other than that, it was more off the cuff, if you will, because they have the control of your microphone, so they can shut you off at any point. When I did the mini DX part, in the ring stuff, that was planned for like where to go and where to stand. Of course, the object was to jump on Chris Jericho. So when he wants to throw you, then guess what? Then you're gonna get thrown. It's not, hey, throw this one first. This one's like, no, you jump on Chris Jericho, and whoever he throws, he's gonna throw you.
We just started talking about Rob the Giant, and we've led into Rob the Giant jumping on Chris Jericho, being part of this DX thing. I mean, again, I know we use the word fun a lot, but just an enormous amounts of fun. And these memories, and I always speak about memories that you take away from wrestling. As fans, we take them. We make the drives home, and we're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That Rob is the big brother? Come on. I mean, we take these memories with us, and you guys and girls as talent are taking the different memories, but from the same events, from a different perspective. These things will never leave. And again, your smile says it all.
Well,
these memories will never leave you.
No, and there was one. So prior to when I did the WLC, in my home company for NCW up in Northern Mass, for a couple months, I wore a mohawk because I didn't have to go to work. So I decided to change my hair a little bit. So I'll never forget this. Is I had the show 3 days before I had to go to Extreme Rules. I cut it off because you have to look clean and presentable, and JBL doesn't wear a mohawk. So I do the show, and I'm at intermission signing autographs, and one of these this little kid comes up to me, and he's all happy, and his mom's like, he really likes you, like he loves watching you every month. He's probably your biggest fan. I was excited to hear that. I like to be like, I like kids to want to look at me. And then he asked me, he goes, "Where's your mohawk?" But then I look at his mom all confused, like, why is he asking about where my hair is? And then I look, for the show, he cut his hair to be like a mohawk. And he was excited to go to the show because he knew Rob the Giant was there with his mohawk, and I felt like I let him down. But I told him, I was so, and his mom was like, yeah, he really likes you. And I just remember I was like, oh my God, like, I can't tell the kid. I was like, do you have the network? Like, watch Sunday. You'll know, I promise. I felt so bad. But it was like one of those cool experiences. Like, oh my God, like people notice me. Like people like me. That's
good. When you broaden though, when you get the chance to get that spotlight, Rob, that's what happens though.
Yeah.
Especially that WWE universe though. Again, they latch on to something that they enjoy. May it be your gear and they want that shirt, or may it be your entrance and they want to mimic you. In this case, it was your mohawk. Uh, Again, one of those surreal moments where you're
Yep.
like, wait a minute, did that just happen?
Yeah. I felt so bad, but I was so excited all in one big emotion. So it was so cool. It was cool. It was one of the, I think, one of my earliest fan memories that I really had of real fan appreciation.
So cool. Can we stay on that topic of fandom, and just let's flip it a little bit, because I know not everybody wants to lift up the smaller athletes, and they want to maybe poke fun and stuff like that. When you're making your entrance, or when you're in the ring, or when you're making your exit, there's a lot of people, men, women, children alike, that are all cheering you guys and girls on. Are you finding that you get a lot of jackasses that kind of dig on you?
Yeah. Sometimes it depends where you go. Yeah, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. There's always going to be one or two people that have that. But for the most part, I think if you're in a true wrestling fan area, you don't see that as much anymore, which is good. But I'd get that all the time, especially when I was the heel, when I'm the bad guy. I get that all the time, because why not? You see a short person, you're gonna make fun of him anyways, and if he turns out to be a prick, go for it. I mean, I've seen it. I grew up with it. So like I was always around it. So I always found the better way to avoid it, or just to shrug and keep going.
Nice. Have you ever had any crazy fandom instances with the ladies at all? Maybe wanting some of Robbie's hair, or wanting to go home and hang out with the giant. Have you ever had any kind of crazy stuff with the ladies?
No, luckily, no one's ever stolen me, so that's good. No, normally, no. I always avoid those. Normally, if it's a Warrior show, everyone's always looking at Short Sleeve, because he's the little one more. But but no, luckily never had any encounters like that. Crazy fans, yes, but not like a crazy lady instances. No.
Okay, because you never know. It's wrestling. You never know.
That's the thing. I've seen I've seen fans of all shapes, sizes, and designs. So you never know out there.
No, you never know. Because I've been kidnapped and thrown in the trunk before. So you just never know. For real. She scares me. Yeah, I said she. She scares me to death, by the way. Her name is Mrs. Warden. Just don't mess with her.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So now you mentioned NCW earlier in our conversation. Could you please give us the name of the company, where it's located, so we get to know more promotions if we don't know it?
Yeah. So it's NCW, which is Northeast Championship Wrestling, not Northeast Wrestling. Two different Northeast Wrestling, both great companies. They're located in Dedham, Mass, and Norwood area normally, and Bristol, Rhode Island. So we have two different kind of territories that we've built over the years. The NCW.com is a great way to go check them out, and a lot of guys that have been on there. They've been my home since probably for the past 11 years. They were, I think, like the first company outside of Bob Evans's that gave me a chance, and they've always given me a home since I've been doing wrestling. So they're home away from home for me.
Wow, very, very cool. I've noticed you're a couple-time tag team champion, les champions, over at NCW with one Bullet Joe Kravinsky, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. 2 times with my buddy Bullet Joe. That's for sure.
Buddy Bullet Joe and yourself have been tag team champions.
Yep.
Multi-time. Two time. And not only that, I wanted to get to an event that I'm pretty sure you guys were stoked to do. And that was under the umbrella of one Dante Luna and the Belltime Club over at Fenway Park.
Yep.
I've talked to a couple of talents that have been on that show, and it just gives them. See, I wasn't even there, and I get the goosey bumps just remembering some of the footage, because It looks so really cool. The setting. It wasn't just a venue. It was a setting. It was an ambiance that was going on over there.
Yep.
I know that was probably really, really cool for you and Bullet to go against each other as opponents. And you
Yep.
mentioned you were a heel. My word, you really give the heat, my friend.
Thank you.
Could you talk to us, the fans, about that experience at Fenway Park?
Sure. So that would be that. Well, so I've done two of them. I did the second ever one. I wrestled Bullet. The third one after I teamed with Bullet. But the first one was a no-brainer to go to. I've grown up I grew up in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So to me, Red Sox has been in my blood. It's always been number one. So I've grown up watching Fenway Park. I grew up watching wrestling. So why not take a chance? Why not go and wrestle in my favorite stadium? Normally, if people wanted me and Bullet to wrestle each other or to bring the team, I would message Bullet like, "Hey, we have these dates available. We have these dates. Can you make it?" I remember when I was asked by Dante to do Fenway Park, I told him, "Hey, this date, you're going. It's Fenway Park or else." Okay. As a kid, I would go to Fenway Park. My grandfather took me. My uncle took me to Fenway Park. I've met great baseball players there. So just the opportunity to walk in Fenway, to be as a performer under a different type of umbrella, not as an athlete, as a ball player, but to perform in Fenway. I soaked it all in. I walked around the park. We got there early, so walked around the whole park. And it was great to wrestle in a place that's so legendary, if you will. Something a good bucket list that I never knew would be on my bucket list, if you will.
Yeah, because once it was brought to the table of the talent, I seen you guys and girls. You were like, "Oh my God, yes, 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 yes." Those cards are absolutely slam packed with talent. I think what they were trying to do was get every single wrestler in the universe on this card because they were so jam packed. But not only the talent that was there was off the charts, but if you're watching the footage off of these matches, the crowd was absolutely into every single match that was going on through the entire day, because it was an event, if you will. It started at like 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something.
No, it started I think at 11. Might have been 11:30, even earlier, and it went all day. But the crowds are there the whole time. The crowds love it, and yeah, it's a lot of wrestling. But from what I've seen from the lineups that we had, it was all different wrestling. So it wasn't like you saw the same type of wrestler every single match for like hours on end. It's you had someone different every time, and you had no idea. And the great part about the Fenway shows is they never fully announce who's going to be there. So it's more of a, hey, who's going to show up and be surprised and be entertained the whole time. So.
Yeah, because one of them, it was actually a build-up that they're doing. And I'm going to pull, and I know there was so many fantastic matches on those cards. But I want to pull one specifically because I'm being selfish right here. El Jabroni against Tony the Tuna.
Yep.
I like to call him Tony the Tuna. I don't care what his name is or what, and if he admonishes me, I apologize, but that's what I like to call him. There was this build-up, and I even did an interview with El Jabroni, and we took a fans Q&A, which I've never done before, and just those, how do I put, the build-up and the hype, trying to get that one match. For myself, was just so much fun because I know both guys. They're both off the charts character. They're digging on each other on Facebook like something.
They were.
It got a little racy, if you will. There was like stuff showing and stuff. I'm not going to say on here. It got a tad racy, but a lot of fun. So just that one match alone, doing a build up, and amongst the others that they were building up, was just absolutely exciting for me as a fan, because I wasn't going to be able to make those shows. But I knew that there was going to be some kind of footage coming out of the outcome,
Yep.
So I was very excited to see that stuff. And like you said, they didn't announce everything. So there was a lot of wrestling surprises that were brought to the table, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. You need to have that nowadays with everyone trying to figure everything out. You have to save room for surprises.
Yeah. For a little bit. For just a smidge, I was a dirt sheet guy. I wanted to get out there and know stuff.
Yeah.
And then for about a couple months, I'm like, I'm robbing myself of these surprises because now when I'm turning on Raw, okay, now if you read these dirt sheets, you could take everything you've read and maybe condense 40% of it, maybe 30% of it, and some of that will actually come to light on TV, where the rest of it really won't or ever come to light.
Yeah.
So it was like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm losing that piece. So I stopped, and I am so glad I did because I love that stuff. And we do a fan roundtable where we bring in like a half a dozen or more fans, and we just kind of shoot the shh about wrestling, and we bring in a surprise guest, being a talent, maybe a referee or ring announcer or a wrestler. But I never ever tell the table who it is because we love those little surprises.
Yeah, you have to. I think as a fan, that's what you're most excited. That's what's most excited for. That's what I did growing up. Is I always loved the surprise, to be surprised.
Absolutely. So what is Rob the Giant growing up when he catches wrestling? What are we talking here? Are you doing it with your fam, your mom, your sister, brother? What do you got going on here?
So we got to go back to 1998 during the Monday Night era, the Monday Night Wars, if you will. The Wars. Yep. So at the time, my mom's boyfriend, who was living with us, he was a wrestling fan and he had it on, and I was just passing through, and I look on the TV, and you have Bret Hart and you have Sting in red and black paint, just beating each other up on Monday Night Nitro, and I was mesmerized from that. Like, what is this? And I sat down and I watched the rest of that Nitro. That's what hooked me right away. So I started. I was 8 years old when that happened, when I started watching wrestling. So I watched that, and then I went when someone, So then I brought it to school of, I saw this on TV, and some of my friends watched wrestling, or this kid watched wrestling, and then we all became friends because of wrestling. So then it involved all like my friends watching wrestling, like all watching wrestling. And then a lot of times as things moved on in life, the guy that I watched it with wasn't there. So I'd actually watch it with my grandfather on Monday nights for a while, because he wasn't a wrestling fan, but he liked watching wrestling with me. And so he watched it with me on Monday nights a lot. My mom watched it with me. My mom always supported me watching wrestling as long as I wasn't breaking anything. So, and then one of my friends in high school, middle school, was a big wrestling fan. And because of us growing up watching it together, me and him started training together at Bob's school. So it all trickles up to this point. Yeah.
That's fantastic, because we like to hear that the wrestlers are wrestling fans. Obviously, you always start as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to.
But the way you speak, though, sir, because some wrestlers just lose that bit of a spark.
They do.
You will.
They do. They lose the love, that magical touch.
And the way you speak, you just seem like you're still a very passionate wrestling fan. Do you watch the current product, because it's very different? Especially
it's very different now. Very different. I don't watch it as much, obviously, because there's so much to watch now. But I still watch it. I still like AEW, Raw, SmackDown, TNA, indie stuff that gets put online. I try to look at it. I try to watch everything. I like all wrestling. I've always loved wrestling, and I think if you're not watching the product and you're being a wrestler, then you might lose out of tune of what's going on, what fans like now compared to what fans might have liked years prior. I mean, obviously pre-COVID, fans were different from 2019 to 2015. So you always have to watch it, and I've always loved it. I've always liked seeing different things with wrestling, so I'll always be a fan, no matter what on that one.
Now, being a wrestling fan, start training to become a wrestler.
Yep.
There's not a lot of midget wrestlers to look at for
No.
a move set and maybe gain uh, influences,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. What are the guys or girls? Which are the guys or girls that you're looking at that I'm assuming are probably on TV? Like, I know he's a bigger guy, but maybe that's what I'm kind of looking at. Or
Mm-hmm.
who were your influences looking at that?
Well, Sting was the first thing I ever watched. So Sting's always going to be my number one influence, no matter how much he does things wrong nowadays. Or Sting's always going to be my number one. Rey Mysterio was always Rey Mysterio is my number one, like, true heart. Like, that's my number one favorite wrestler in the world. I was a big Spike Dudley influencer. I loved watching Spike Dudley and his stuff. Anybody, big guys, little guys, like, I just liked all different wrestling people. When he was on the indies to now, I was a big Kevin Steen fan because I loved watching a guy his size, how he moved and how he came over, and the crowd, like, how he captivated the audience. Like, everyone was, just got his attention, like how he'd get people's attention. That's what I liked. Stone Cold is like the easiest one to get around there.
Yeah,
I
definitely,
never really
Kevin.
had one. Oh, sorry. I never really had like one, and then I just, as I morphed into like wanting to be the wrestler part, I think I tried to take different bits and pieces of what I liked and made it my own. Because when I was brought up, I wasn't brought up to be like a midget to be trained. I was brought up to be trained like a professional wrestler. I just happened to be a midget. That's the way Bob taught me and kind of humbled me. So I kind of learned with everybody else. I just happened to be a lot shorter than everybody around me.
I think that's absolutely a fantastic perspective, because it's just like when I ask females if they mind the intergender wrestling. You're damn right I'm into it. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, just wrestle with me. Don't just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a girl don't mean I don't want to wrestle guys.
Exactly.
But like you're saying, it's kind of the same instance. Like, I'm not a little dude. I'm a wrestler. Stop.
Yep.
No labels. Let's just wrestle.
Exactly.
Um, Intergender wrestling. Have you ever dabbled in the intergender?
A little bit back in the day. When she was up in New England, I trained a lot with Taylor Hendricks. When
Oh,
she was up here. Um, I know I didn't go there a lot, but I saw when Sasha Banks was starting her training up in New England at Chaotic Wrestling's old school. But I never really had like girls that I kind of like that I was brought up with. I kind of just saw a lot of them grow as I was passing through wrestling, if you will. Um, but
uh,
there's some great.
is Rob the Giant, because some talent are comfortable being on the indie scene, maybe because of family situation or work
Yep.
situation, whatever they got going on. But for the most part, I'll say that the talent I talk to, they're looking at the juggernaut being the big dub or AEW. Have many
Yep.
avenues now. Where's Rob the Giant sit right now in his career?
On a pause, I guess you could say, because of with the COVID thing. Last year we were supposed to go do a couple of tours for the Warriors. That obviously got shut down. A lot of indie shows got shut down. So I think I kind of just took it as, well, I'll take a pause too to kind of rest the body, because even though I'm not that old in wrestling terms, I'm kind of old, I guess, because I've been there. So I kind of just sat back and just kind of ease the body a little bit and just watch to see what's going on with all this stuff. I mean, I miss it, and I know there's some stuff coming up that I'll be able to get back in the ring for. So it's more of just waiting to jump back on the horse at this point. Like, the horse is ready. It's just waiting to start the engine, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, very well said. Now, the talent in the Midget Warrior Wrestling,
Yep.
you guys, full of energy, full of character, and you guys and girls are having just a lot of fun over in that promotion. Now, I'm not familiar with that said promotion very much, and I don't know if many people that would be watching are familiar. So could you please just give us maybe some 3, 4, 5 of the talent that that kind of come to mind off of your roster over at the Warrior Wrestling.
No, of course. So there's me. There's me, Rob the Giant. There's Short Sleeve Samson. Obviously, he's the main guy. We've gotten over the past couple of years. We have a kid from Canada. His name's Golden Boy Brandon Bowman. Nice young rookie, learning the ways. Last 2 years ago, one of our normal guys, mainstays, his name was Prince Hakeem. He he was the royalty, if you will, for Midget Wrestling Warriors. He actually retired. Hung up the shoes. Just it was just a time to pack it in. We have from Mexico, Demos 666. He's been on TNA. He was on TNA a couple of years ago for a little bit. There was Mascarita de Grata that we've had on there. We've had from Mexico Tiago Rey and Mascarita Del Rey. They're actually they're actually Luchador brothers. They actually put on a very fantastic competition between each other.
Wow.
We've actually gotten a couple girls involved, not midget girls, but more of the to showcase female talent. Danica Del Rouge from British Columbia, along with Bambi Hall and Liza Hall, the Hall sisters. We've had them on there. And then we've also had, I'd say those are probably the main ones to highlight that we've had over the time.
International flavor within the promotion.
And that's been my favorite. When Short Sleeve put it together, when he put like the lineups together, I would watch it the same thing every night, because we had different flavors of midget wrestling mixed in. We had females. We had luchadors. We had like the older vet style. We had like indie style, all mixed in this whole this 2-hour show that we put together. So that's something I'm always proud of with the Warriors, is we're not your typical comedy stick match, for 2 hours. We're a whole bunch of different things. Yep.
Because I did talk to that about that said topic with Mr. Short Sleeves, because that's what it kind of was, though. When you did that showcase match on a WWE event, or the other 3 letters back then, and it was always one match, and there was a lot of ha-has going on, and it was always for that entertainment pop, get the crowd really energized off of that. But I am so glad that that stigma went away, and we get some respect to what you guys and girls are doing, because it's not all about ha-ha. I know you bring that to the table. You're still going to bring that to the table.
Of course.
Because that's obviously part of wrestling, but you guys and girls can do it in your own way by picking on yourselves, if you will, by doing these small people things.
Exactly.
By, getting watching Mr. Sampson getting thrown from Prince Hakeem onto the ref, and the ref throwing him back down, and they do that like 3, 4, 5 times.
Yep.
Those things, though, is what I speak of.
Exactly. You have to play to your audience, though. With that, that's the thing.
Yes.
There's some crowds that you can give them haha all night, and that's what they want. So, but the Warriors can haha, but we can also pack a punch too.
No, and I appreciate that. And you don't want the same, like you say, the flavors of ice cream. Please don't give me vanilla through the whole event.
Exactly.
Please throw some sprinkles or some Hershey Kisses on there or something. Mm-hmm. Give me a little something. So I appreciate that. Now, yeah, I've seen you be a heel. I've seen you be a face, as they say, the good guy or the bad guy.
Yep.
What does Rob the Giant enjoy doing more?
I think Rob the Giant enjoys more being heel now than I did before. I think when I was younger, I liked being cheered. I liked being, because I think mentally I needed that good job, like we like you type aspect to keep going. And now it's just, I don't care. Now it's just, I don't care. I know I can do my thing, and I like to make the fans more mad. I'd say it's more enjoyable in the role to make people hate you than to try. Because I mean, I think in life the hardest part is trying to impress people. Like when you go new places, you're afraid, you don't want to mess up in front of them because you want to make a good impression. But when you're the heel, you don't care. You don't, if you don't like that, you don't want them to like you anyway. So I'm just gonna be myself. I'm gonna be a little prick around it, and that's it.
I have heard that it's a bit more fun to be a heel than it is to be a face.
It is. And if you wrestle short sleeve, it is the most fun in the world.
Please take us through that, because he's one of your mentors, if you will.
Yep.
You're within his promotion, but you're also, you're his peer. You are one of you're the first guy to come into the Warriors, and there's a lot of history there. So being able to get into the ring and perform the art of wrestling against short sleeves, that's got to be really, really cool, no?
It is. In the beginning, it was very hard because I was always the smaller one wrestling the big people. So when I wrestled him, the whole world switched, and so I was the bigger person. He was the smaller guy, and just the intensity and what he brought to the table really helped me and pushed me with my limits, especially like being on the road and the travels that we did. Like he progressed and helped me so much and be able to do things I never could do.
That's awesome, because you have these challenges as an athlete that you have to always succumb. May it be, I'm scared to go off the ropes, or I'm scared to do a twist, or something along different lines that are out of your comfort zone. To have somebody within the industry, though, to really give you that little push.
But I think too that what helped me learning from short sleeve. I kind of related it more to when Bullet Joe came about and hit the indie scene, and they put me with Bullet Joe for a while wrestling each other, because for a while we wrestled each other everywhere, and to me, my experiences there helped me be that mentor to Bullet and be able to push him, and it just made my confidence better to help the next people coming up in the rankings, if you will.
Love hearing that talk, my friend. Now, Rob the Giant, I'm sure, is not on your birth certificate. Is there is there a backstory to Rob the Giant as a character?
Yes. So when I first started, Bob, for some reason, just started calling me Giant. There was no The Giant, just started calling me Giant at the training center. So I think he kind of did it as a way to already lift the veil of, oh, hey, we have a little guy training with us. So he started saying, hey, we're gonna call him Giant. So for so long, no one called me Rob, no one called me Robbie, no one called me Robert, everyone called me Giant. So that was just my nickname of just like like your old school nickname with your crew. Like everyone called me Giant. Hey Giant, this, or hi, like. So then when it came time to debut, me and my partner, my best friend, we were going to debut together at our old middle school. We were both, I was a junior and he was a sophomore in high school, and we were going to debut at our middle school. They were going to have a show there, and on the poster, it had Robbie the Giant on there. So I saw that and I was like, oh, I guess I'm just going to be Robbie the Giant now. So I took that and I just used that as a branch off. I look at it as a double-edged sword. I'm Robbie the Giant because I'm the biggest little guy when I'm wrestling a big person. But when I'm wrestling people like Short Sleeve, people like Brandon Bowman, I'm the big guy. So I really am the Giant. So I can use it in more ways than one in a multiverse.
What a multi-purpose name, if you will.
It is. I mean, and it's also good. Hey, it's a name based off of passed down from Andre the Giant. So what better to follow footsteps?
Oh man, you've done a lot in your career. You said about 12 years or so, if I'm not correct. At this point,
2007, I started. So,
oh wow,
13, 14 years. I'll say 13 because I don't count the past year because of being down with COVID. I kind of consider like a break, so we'll say 13-ish.
Okay. What I like to do when we bring this to a tail end, because we've had such a fine conversation with Rob the Giant, so informative, my goodness. What I like to do though is there's gotta be, you're on the road an awful lot, I would imagine, because you're going here, you're going there, and everywhere. You're even going to the dub, if you will. There has to be at least one story on the road or at a restaurant or at a rest stop or something that you might be able to share with us fans that sticks in your mind. You had some fun, maybe somebody drew something on your face, or some kind of, look at that smile. There's something there. I know there's something there. Could you share? Could you share?
I mean, there's so many. There's different ones. There's one. So a couple years ago, we got brought in to do Wing Bowl down in Philly. It's kind of like it's a show, but not really a show, I guess. So they have Wing Bowl every year in Philadelphia, where there's a whole bunch. Everyone eats buffalo wings. So a bunch of us from Warriors decided to go as we brought in as an entertainment. So they wanted us to go down, and they decided to put us in a wing eating contest. And I don't know why this is. I never told this story, I guess. So they put us in a wing eating contest, and we had one of the guys was from Philly, one of our Warriors. So we were gonna let him win, and he's a big dude, so he can handle a couple wings. And I just remember we're in the contest, and I'm tearing apart these bone wings. And I look over, and he's still like on his first one. And I'm like, brother, you need to step up. You're supposed to win this thing. And my heel instinct, I took a whole wing, like something out of the Flintstones bone. And I remember I just whacked him across the face with it. And I looked at the guy that was that was the DJing thing, and I was like, I just lost. I'm disqualified. And everyone went crazy, and I don't think he even knew. I took him off by surprise. He was expecting to get maybe get a chicken here and there, but not to get hit in the face with a chicken bone. So I say that's a road story while kind of doing business of one of my favorite stories. Because it was our time. It was the Warriors doing Warrior stuff, but we weren't doing wrestling. We were like going out kind of like on a vacation / adventure that we got paid to do, and that was something fun. As one story, I don't know. I have different so many different ones. I don't know what type people would want to look for, but that's one that sticks out to me, because I just remember it was a different adventure with my brothers that we didn't have to wrestle, and we could go out and enjoy the road part. And we make it, and here it is. We make it into a wrestling show, and the guy's still not eating, and I hit him in the head with a chicken bone, and the meat sliced off on impact, so it hit the floor.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it hit a spectator.
Rob, thank you so much for sharing those stories. We love that, the memories, the laughter, the smiles, the good times. That's what we like to project on Stirring the Pot. And you've been smiling the whole time. We've had a lot of great conversation, and you've been very open and informational. I was actually supposed to ask you something that Mr. Shortsleeve said, and I can't remember for some reason. You wouldn't happen to remember, would you? Did you happen to see that question by chance?
Yeah, because like I said, I watched it to make sure he didn't give me the dirt. So he wanted you to ask me about being a spot monkey.
Yes, a spot. Yeah. Yes, that's right, a spot.
Spot
monkey.
So obviously, a spot monkey is a wrestling term where everyone, has all these elaborate sequences they want to get together and do. And I think, and he always would bombard me of it, because I'd always want to do all these crazy things, or all these different, nothing too crazy, but have all these elaborations And so him and a couple of the boys would always be like, "Oh, you're the spot monkey of the." I would always be the spot monkey of the Warriors. Like, "Oh, you're just a spot monkey, wanting to like anything that came up, any show. Like, oh well, let's do. I'd always have these ideas of what to do in this instance here, or like, and then we can go and do this stuff. So everyone always teased me in the Warriors that I'm a spot monkey. That's what that is. But to one up on them is I actually got a spot monkey tattoo. In light of that,
No, you didn't.
yes. Let's see if I can maneuver and show you here because I got
Wait,
it on my arm.
Is it legal to show?
It is legal. It is very legal. So
okay.
It is this piece right here.
What the hell, dude? Look at that thing.
Yeah. So this is my monkey. This is a monkey, a mustache monkey with, if you can't see it, it's a Rey Mysterio. It's a Rey Mysterio pose. That is a Dusty Rhodes singlet. That's Dusty Rhodes singlet for the spot monkey. Notice the head bandana, the Undertaker face, because I was an Undertaker fan, and the Rey body, and the Dusty singlet. So we got a little bit of my wrestling tastes into this, but that tattoo was inspired by by my Warrior brothers. It was mainly inspired by Prince Hakeem, when the Warriors, him and Short Sleeve always ragged on me about it. And of course, because they ragged on me, Chuck and Little Fabio, they joined in and always ragged me on it. And I needed something for wrestling to tattoo on my body because I have a couple tattoos. And that just came to me. I was like, you know what, Spot Monkey? Like, I need. What if I just put Dusty Rhodes' singlet on top of like spots on him? At first it was just I wanted to put spots on a monkey, and then the design Up in Flames is where I got it done over in Fall River, Mass. Very good place. And the designer, he basically came up with help with all the interrogations of what I wanted on there. So
I gotta say, I'm not a guy. That piece, I would never get a tattoo because I'm too much of a wuss, so I would never get a tattoo. But that piece is absolutely killer because of all of the creativity put into it from top to bottom.
Yep.
Kudos to the artist because you're talking the bandana, the face, the mustache.
Yeah. Well, the mustache
the Dusty
is from a mustache
Rhodes
monkey, so that had to get in there. That's one of my favorite. It's my favorite kind of monkey is those mustache ones. So
the Dusty Rhodes singlet, the whole concept really, really cool. Great piece. Kudos to the artist, definitely.
Yep. It was Up in Flames Tattoos up in Fall River. The owner is the one that got that done for me. So
yeah, if you're not a wuss like me and you want more ink, check them out.
Yeah, that's probably that's one of my favorite pieces. I have another piece that's more sentimental to me, but that's like one of my favorite pieces to get done.
That's really cool.
Lost you there. Sorry.
Oh, there we are.
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Did you give him a name, or is he just Spot Monkey?
He's just the spot monkey. Because I'm a spot monkey. He's a spot monkey. That's all it is.
So, are you doing 450s and Canadian destroyers?
No. Can never do. I think a swanton is the most rotation that you'll ever see me get out.
All right. Hey, just asking. For the fans that want to either get to start following your social medias or that already know you, but just don't follow you because they want to poke at you, be a little pain in your butt. Yep. Let's get everybody following Rob the Giant. How do we find you on the medias, my friend?
So I only do Facebook with the personal pages. I can't keep up on the the main faces, but I post all my stuff on my main personal page anyway. So just put up Robbie Arujo is the way to find me on Facebook. The Rob the Giant page isn't really active. Don't look there. I'm on Instagram at Giant RAA. That's where I just post all pictures of my adventures. And the Twitter sometimes when I'm on there, not really much anymore. Also Giant RAA. To follow me on that one. But I'm mainly more on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, because I remember the Robbie the Giant page, and I went back to it because I was going to tag you, but then I started going down. I go, it's been a minute.
That's not.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah. No, more. I keep everything on my personal page. It's easier to follow up on that one. So.
Okay. Rob the Giant, I cannot thank you enough for spending the hour with us, the fans, and just giving us some really cool insight about yourself, Midget Warrior Wrestling, and many other topics that we covered. I thank you so much, sir, for real.
No, thank you for having me. This was fun. This was good conversation. Good to talk about wrestling and just let it fly and not have to worry about what I'm supposed to talk about or what we have to talk about.
We don't write stuff down. I don't want to be that guy. I like to just kind of go with the flow, if you will.
Good. It's always good.
So I know you've got more in your career. So maybe down the road, maybe 6, 7, 8, 12 months down the road, maybe I can reach out to Rob the Giant and we could do a follow-up of some kind.
Absolutely. I'm game for that. Especially by that time, shows will be happening. We'll see what's happening on the Back to Road life, if you will.
Yes, that would be amazing because there is going to be the wrestling is starting to come back out. Restrictions are being lifted to a degree, so we're going to be seeing some sporting events coming out, and I cannot wait for that. Oh my goodness! This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Rob the Giant. Thank you, my friend.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is a pleasure, Don.